on button. And I'm officially live. I usually say we, but well, I'm Adam and I'm pretty much flying this one solo. None of the other crew could show up on this particular holiday, the holiday where Judas Maccabeus kicked out the Seleucids. So unfortunately, you're just going to deal with me. I'm Adam, and we're going to be looking through Doikayt, the Jewish RPG, which that's a pretty specific idea, but hey, don't worry, we can get some ideas on why they made it because, courtesy of a member on Stream Chat, they did preemptively give me, well, they gave me the Kickstarter. So let's take a look at that right now. Also, let's experiment with the format to hopefully show off chat at the same time. Okay, so Doikayt, the Jewish TTRPG anthology. And I'm actually seeing, I think this is some attempts at Kabbalistic designs. So the story is, oh, there's something ahead. First things first, Kickstarter's union is currently trying to be recognized, and we fully believe in their right to unionize. The union is not currently calling for a boycott, but they've called for people to support them by applying pressure on Kickstarter senior leadership. Oh, hey, Holt. This is my attempt to try to get the chat to work together as I'm reading, because I don't have any other people, so I can't really take breaks. This is just a new attempt to try to get the Dice Scum live streams a little more live, if you know what I mean. But we're just urging those reading this to let Kickstarter know they should recognize their union. Now, I'll just merely say that unions sometimes work, but more often than not, their dues actually suck away more of your income than if you weren't unionized, depending on what position you're in. Also, unlike other European countries and those with stronger union tendencies, in the United States, you have to actually figure out what fucking union you're under, and it's not necessarily intuitive. So it's very interesting. Jewish history to some level, but there's not a lot of them around these parts. Yeah, there's only like 12 million of them. I think there's more Sikhs than there are Jews in this world. So the project itself. Doikayt is an anthology of short tabletop role-playing games about Judaism or Jewish themes written and illustrated by Jews. All right. For huge numbers of Jews throughout the world, childhood memories are tied to games, be it board games played by families on Shabbos, a local Purim carnival, or simply being taught the rules of the dreidel game. Jews have long relied on games to help pass down tradition, culture, and its story and song to the next generation. Oh, this is actually sounding a lot more interesting than I thought. You'll see why when I actually show off the, PDF. It's with the same earnest joy that we present Doikayt, this RPG. Being on Kickstarter is apparently a job that requires a union. I don't understand either. I would assume that the dues that you have to pay to the union would actually make your wages lower. It's actually one of the reasons why unionizing sometimes actually shoots you in the foot, at least in the US. In Yiddish, the word Doikayt translates to hearness. While hearness can be interpreted in many ways, we take it to mean that a Jewish person's ideology, practices, and traditions are a product of their environment. And it's these differences in background and knowledge from sources around the world that makes the Jewish people so stalwart. These differences are what informs our anthology, featuring games from Jews of completely dissimilar backgrounds. It's our goal to not only show how Judaism can be highlighted through play in a multiple of ways, but to also show that despite our inherent differences, despite our upbringings, we all share the same idea of Doikayt. Well, I mean, unless you're Sephardim, or were natively from that area, or one of the Oriental Jewish cultures. This seems very Ashkenazi based. Look, I'm not saying that you're focusing on one style because it sounds like they actually got other people from around the world, but Yiddish is a primarily Ashkenazi thing. Just for those of you curious, Yiddish is that's the traditional language of Jews from Europe. Doesn't really apply so well since I believe it's Mozarabic or Sephardo. That was the language of the Arabic Jews. Just saying. As for the organizers, here they are, all two of them. You got a game designer and you got a biology student. Yeah, you're probably going to need a glossary since, well, I don't know all of these terms either, so we'll just kind of go along. And here are some of the contributors. There's quite a few. And here are some of the rewards you get. For $12, you get a digital copy of the book. Fair enough. Plus donation. So you get a digital copy along with donating a PDF to someone who can't afford it. Which, that sounds a little bit weird because unless you have a smartphone, you're probably not going to, like those who can't afford it, you probably can't afford a computer either. Are you going to play Doikayt on a library? This doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Soft cover book for 25 cents, $25, geez. Wow, my brain's oatmeal today. And for an extra $7 at $32, you get the soft cover book PDF and you donate a PDF. And again, that's a bit of a problem because you can donate physical media to those who can't afford it. You can't really do it with digital. I mean, technically you can do to smartphones, but at the same time, they apparently had hardcover books, but notice that they don't donate softcore books. Goldberg being the default Jewish name is a parody, but it's a real deal. Oh yeah, Goldberg is actually a very common surname. It's primarily because a lot of Ashkenazis hailed from Central and Eastern Europe. That's where most of them settled after the Romans sacked Judea. They go and actually, this is something I'll give them. I like this. They actually tell you where the money goes. That's pretty cool. I like that. And they go for stretch goals. They explain this. I will say that out of all of the Kickstarter books that I've seen so far, this is one of the more transparent ones, just from what little I've seen. So I'll give him credit there. I actually like that. And actually, let's show off the, oh, that's the cover, huh? Well, you can't judge a book by its cover, and while it looks like it crawled out of Tumblr's corpse, well, we'll just go through with it, I think. Don't mind my mouse scroll wheel, it's kind of a bit buggy. And here we go, table of contents. We got our contributors, thank yous. I kind of like that they actually put you there early on. On playing these games if you're not Jewish. Okay, at least they keep that in mind. So, oh yeah, the poorly done body hair. Yeah, let's go back on that. I didn't want to comment too far on it, but if I had to make Tumblr stereotypes, well, first off, you got the strange blushing. Second off, you got the strange nose design. Third, it's all in profile because that probably implies they can't do any much better. Fourth off, these are massive fucking caricatures. It is a bad sign. And this is actually the only thing I knew about the book because I found it in. I don't know where I found it. I just remembered waking up being covered in blood. But yeah, this is not looking the greatest. Oh yeah, they're micro games. Yeah, when it's an anthology, I kind of predicted that. Fun fact, back in the old days of Dice Game, like I think it was episode 13, we did another series of micro games on feminism. Yeah, that was Dyed Hair. But we did a series of anthologies on a game called Feminism, #Feminism. And while a lot of the games in that were garbage, some of them had at least potential for a short everyone is John kind of thing. Like, what was it? There was the idea of a time capsule where in the future you're supposed to try to explain what's going on in current year. Yeah, there's two red flags, but let's see what's going on. So here's the contributors. Here's what the editors, the artist. So you can actually blame one of these two artists for the Tumblr style art. There's the essayist. My assuming is they're the writer, one of the main writers, or something like that. Oh yeah, that was a hoot. Wow, I didn't know you were that far. I didn't know you were that far in the past, Pagan. So here are some game designers, and these are all the people. So if any of the games are terrible, you can blame one of these people. But if they're good, you have to actually give credit to them. Just failed theater games. I think it was more that they were just kind of You're probably right, actually. They were designed for like short theater productions, then they were like, well, we can turn it into a game. So these are the people that actually paid for the most, I believe. That's probably one of the Kickstarter levels. So anyway, let's get on playing these games if you're not Jewish, and I will just state up front that this is about on par with Derek DeShaw's attempt with Empire Satanis. I feel like this was done on Microsoft Word. I will say that this looks a little better than Derek's because there's formatting. So, if you're not Jewish, one of my favorite Jewish folk tales concerns a young boy named Yankel. Yankel, by all accounts, was a pious and studious boy. He was the pride of his family, and all in the village knew him to be kind and forthright. He had but one peculiarity. When it came time to pray on the Sabbath, Yankel would not go to temple. Instead, he would say goodbye to his family and friends and head deep into the woods, only returning at the conclusion of Shabbat the following evening. They didn't have a script; they had prompts, I believe, and you were supposed to role play like specific roles that they designed. One day, after years of Yankel going into the woods, his father begged him to come to temple. He implored Yankel, saying, "Don't you know that God is the same everywhere?" And the good catch there. In Jewish traditions, you do not properly name God because human mouths cannot. Yankel looked at his father and replied simply, "But father, I am not the same everywhere. I share this story because it is at the heart of this collection. The Jewish experience is not monolithic. It is founded upon reflection and conversation and debate." I think he cut part of the story, by the way. The part that conveniently. I don't know. This feels like a very bad summary, but that's fine. It's not monolithic. It's founded on reflection and conversion and debate. The tenets of Judaism rely not only on introspection, but on the need for partners in your learning. Almost everyone has undertaken the serious study of Talmud at some point, done so in a havruta, or partnership. Even the mere act of saying your thoughts out loud to another changes them and refines them, sharpens them, and guides them into directions previously unseen. It's not Times New Roman. I think it might be Constantia or one of the old printing fonts. In some ways, it is this spirit that allowed for the Jewish tradition to be mined so effectively for tabletop role-playing games. Not really, kinda, but not really. In role-playing games, the narrative changes. It changes as the game unfolds, of course, but as the story or object of the game is fleshed out and defined. But it also changes depending on the people involved. The game played with family and children on Shabbat would certainly result in a different experience compared to that of the... Does this feel like he's saying anything? Or am I crazy? Am I crazy? Because I'm not really getting how to play this game as one of the Goyim, as one of the non-Jews, one of the Gentiles. Chat, am I crazy in thinking that Goldberg here isn't really explaining the nature of how to play this game if you're one of the Gentiles? Don't worry, I can wait for your response. I'll just continue through reading. Same mentality is part of how Riley, wow, my throat is doing amazing, went about sourcing the material for Doikayt. We had both previously written explicitly Jewish games. I don't know how that would work, but we decided early on that to put out work that only expressed our views would not truly be a Jewish collection. Instead, we took open submissions and pitches, working to not only represent games we felt were okay. So from what I'm getting from this is they were originally going to make these games specifically for Jewish communities. Then they realized, I'm not trying to be mean, they realized that it'd probably be more lucrative to appeal to more people. At least that's what on page 9 I'm getting that vibe of. And I'm not going to fault them for trying to expand on it, but it does make this seem a little more fake. The role-playing game community can be in some ways insular. Let's take some from Judaic mythology and iconography as seen in other works, and no, he's not so far. Okay, I'm not crazy, or at least not fully crazy. Besides, honestly, if he's going to complain about role-playing games, he should be complaining about the Japanese. They're the ones that mine Judeo-Christian mythology for their stuff, since it's so weird. Powered by the apocalypse. Oh, I didn't see that yet. Insular. Oh, here we go. Powered by the apocalypse means, well, probably is Georgia font. So this is a powered by the apocalypse game, huh? Mm. I did not know that. This is going to be a little bit, no thank you. But let's continue. Firstly, think of this book as a kind of coffee table reader or short story collection. There's a thematic through line that we have worked hard to preserve and present, but there's no need to read this book in order. Find what seems to be the most interesting to you on that day. Find games that you feel would appeal to you on some personal level. You know, back in the day, I used to have, there was this game book I remember that actually brought you like crappy little kind of checker chess pieces. They weren't really checker chess pieces. They were like those shiny stones that you use in Pokemon, and they were black and white. And what happened was there was a bunch of games where you could play, like ranging from checkers, chess to weirder things. They didn't have the need to try to justify what they were doing. They were just like, we wanted to make a variety of games for kids. Shouldn't they just be writers? Yeah, probably. So where were we? There are very few wrong ways to play a TTRPG. As you look through this book and decide to attempt your first game, I would stress a few things to help your session. Before anything, look at any applicable content warnings or safety tool that the game encourages. Content warnings, okay, so your standard trigger warnings, that sort of thing. And I'm actually going to give Goldberg this. While I do think he's doing a lot of waffling to try to stretch the pages of this book so that it'd be more viable to publish and to not look so puny, he is right that if you're going to warn people ahead of time, be upfront, like, warning, you're going to be playing evil bandits. There may be defenestration and penetration and burning and murder. You know, you might want to warn them ahead of time. I always found that to be better than the X card thing, which that happens way too late. I'd say it's a hair too pretentious because at the end of the day, they're just writing. They're just writers. It feels like if you go to like a Jimmy John's or some other chain restaurant, you don't call the person the janitor. You call them the sanitation chief or something equally pretentious. Like, bro, you're just a writer. It's fine. Writing is a laudable profession, even if it doesn't seem the most profitable. Oh, they're also, feel free to research tools such as the X card. Oh, no. I'm honestly of the opinion, by the time you need an X card, it's way too fucking late. Well, no, there will be defenestration. Not in this book, but in the evil game, there would be defenestration. But you would warn people ahead of time. Not the NPCs, but you warn the players that unless you want to play an evil bandit. That's the kind of thing that makes sense to me. I would encourage all first-time players to go into any of these games understanding that you are the true designer. Oh, God. That's warning flag number 4. The first 2 was Tumblr art. Second was the haircut. Third was powered by the apocalypse. Fourth is you are the designer. That, oh, God, that's not really giving me a lot of confidence here. If you're wondering why, bad books have a bad habit of forcing you, the GM, to come up with everything to cover for its lack. Now, don't get me wrong, older editions of stuff like First Edition was also fairly sparse, but mechanically, I didn't have to invent rules. I didn't have to invent, like, situations. I could just come up with the scenario and just kind of use mechanics as is. Yeah. Everyone's designed and refined a game that they want to release, yep. Our primary goal is to bring new players to the hobby. Our secondary goals was in some way the inverse, to expose existing players who aren't Jewish to the culture and traditions that have shaped every contributor to this project. Because the Jewish experience is not monolithic. I'll try to not speak for everyone. You'll only use Yiddish, which is primarily used by Ashkenazi Jews, rather than the Sephardim or the... What's the ones that are from not Sephardim? There's like a third type. I think it's like Nizarim or something like that. There's a third type, but this is feeling like a cornbread. This is feeling like more like cornbread than your North African style, like a Parisian Beijing. I'm not gonna lie. While this stream is not going to be as comprehensible as some of our other ones, I'm really enjoying the byplay between chat and me. Shove story and world onto the players. The difficulty even extends to my wife. Raised in an agnostic household with no real interest in finding faith in any traditional fashion, she's often had trouble connecting with this part of my person, even if her efforts to understand were and are commendable. Describing the American Jewish experience and why I remain connected has been something I repeatedly failed at. I find myself often faced with a choice to either present someone with a reading list, which to me feels overbearing, or stumbling through a truncated and paraphrased description of the rituals and aspects that are a part of me. When preparing my work for this collection, the helping to give feedback to any designer, I often relied on my wife. As an avid game player with a decidedly different perspective, her feedback on the mechanics was invaluable. What was it? Oh my god, Powered by the Apocalypse is terrible, Goldberg. Do you think you can use something else? But honey, it's the only one that's free. I'm not trying to do the caricature. I'm just pointing out that, hey, I'm not going to blame you for using the free service. That's why D20 was used back in the 3.x days. I'm just saying, if you want free, you could also use the open game license from D&D. Introduce Gentiles to Jewish traditions, a D&D module set in a Jewish-inspired world. Yeah, I think they actually kind of did that. They have a weird Bible adventure one that Tech actually wants to show us at some point if he can find a copy of it. That one actually has some very insane things, like they actually statted Moses, so if you felt like it, you can take on Great Moses and fight to the death. Oh yeah, Fate's also free and better than Powered by the Apocalypse. Then again, I think getting a stubbed toe and having to get surgery to remove the embedded nail is better. Let me in on the stream. Okay, give me a second, guys. I'm going to take us back to the central point, and it's looking like at least a couple people are gonna come in. So it's not just gonna be me. Don't worry. It's okay. It's okay. And I'm officially now in the secret recording booth. So let me get everything back on track. There we go. I'm not gonna lie, I like how I've edited chat so I can just look at you guys here. It's really nice. By the way, I believe you can come on now.
Yep.
It's fine.
Hey.
So, what do you think of this product so far?
I'm
not gonna lie, I think you could summarize Goldberg's words to about 4 pages. Because he's not really saying much, and he's just giving... He only gave like one more red flag, which was Powered by the Apocalypse. It is Passover as I write this, and the metaphor and timing feels profound. At a seder, the questions must always be asked, even if there are no children present. A seder between two rabbis. I love how they don't explain what seder is. The game. In the section designed for us Gentiles, us goyim, they don't tell us what fucking seder is. Nice going, Goldberg. No wonder your wife's confused.
So wait, what is Hanukkah about anyway?
Oh, it was a time where a guy named Judas Maccabeus kicked the shit out of the Seleucids.
Okay. So it has like something to do with like Jacob castrating a bunch of guys.
Nope, it's about lamp oil.
Basically, Judas Maccabeus kicks the shit, struggles against the Seleucids, and I think it was they needed to burn only one day of oil because the burning represented their chances of winning the menorah.
I think it was it had like a strategic sense. It was supposed to be a signal.
Oh yeah, it was, but they only had one day. But due to the grace of He who cannot be named, our Lord, 1 day's worth of oil was actually able to last for 8 days.
Oh yeah, an 8 minute. Yeah.
And he was able to defeat the Seleucids before I think Ptolemies took them back. But they were a lot more amenable.
It was regardless, God.
It's nowhere near as important as Yom Kippur and Passover.
Yeah, I'm figuring
the only reason
it's kind of
the only reason it's important is because they wanted to want to compete commercially with Christmas.
Hey, well, I mean, just make up a holiday for that. Like, just go through Jacob doing something based or something.
I mean, there's enough stuff in the Talmud that you can find something.
I mean, I was about to say. I mean, I really don't think you want to talk about the great stories of the man who kills with an ass bone.
Which one?
No, that's
Samson,
perfect.
which one? Samson, Shechem, or the other guy? There's 3 of them.
Samson, the one who literally died.
Yeah, but in the Talmud, there's 2 others that do the same thing.
The one people know about.
Shimshon.
The one who literally died because he simped too hard. I mean, jokes aside,
I mean that's great material for a holiday.
The time Samson murdered.
I mean, if you really want to think about it, you know what I'm thinking? Remember, at the time, the guys that killed Samson, they worshipped the great god Dagon. So now I'm just thinking of Samson versus the elder god Dagon.
Just murdering deep ones with a donkey bone.
That's a sword and sorcery movie that needs to exist.
Well, you also forget he kills a lion with his bare hands, and then within it, its guts are filled with honey because bees build itself in its corpse. So you see him eat raw meat with like fucking honey as he's murdering fish people with his fucking donkey bone.
Yeah,
and then the movie ends with him pulling down the temple, but instead of just collapsing it collapses it into the sea.
I could see a movie like that.
Anyway, off topic. Sorry.
Yep.
So it's Passover when he writes this. This is instructional. We've never done asking. Well, this isn't instructional. I don't know I don't know how this is helping me as the Gentile here. As people read this collection and play, our hope remains that all players, Jew and Gentile alike, are made to discover the international Judaism has aspects that are both intertwined and multifaceted.
Oh no, we're going BitChute.
Samson versus the Great Old Ones is a movie I need to watch. I love that movie. Oh yeah, Samson. You could actually have Samson like collapse Rillier in the sea.
Yes.
The designers have helped create this because, like Yankel, they're not the same everywhere. So your part as the player and reader are even more important. So that was an attempt to explain why a Gentile would play this or how to play it as a Gentile. It failed horribly. So on the diversity of the Jewish experience, as written by someone who's almost certainly Ashkenazi and not Sephardim. I remember, or Beta Israeli, actually, now that I think about it. I remember reading about the 2004 study in Nature Communications Journal that confirmed that many of us already suspected. Ashkenazi Jews can trace their ancestry to a mere 350 individuals that supposedly date back that many, 600 to 800 years. Indeed.
See, according to spirit science, that's when they landed.
Are we going to have to move the stream to BitChute? I don't know. Maybe. I hope not. Similarities between Ashkenazi Jews are so intense. Everyone's the 30th cousin. So yeah, if you really are terrified about incest, you might want to marry outside your religion. I have no background in genetics, but I'm inclined to believe it. Well, I mean, it's science. You can also actually study it and, find evidence to reinforce that.
I mean, it also kind of happens essentially when insular communities that are typically insular because no one wants to breed within them. Just they Yeah, it just happens.
Yeah, like the hyper-Orthodox Jews tend to have a few problems with a couple of genetic illnesses, as do
I mean,
the
I was
Amish
actually,
and Hutterites, by the way.
I was actually more talking about the fact for throughout history. Not everyone was. The certain people were flying the once upon a time symbol of Asian peace. Having Ashkenazi blood in you was never considered exactly a benefit.
So let's see. Now, how else to explain the universally tight embrace of what's considered North American Jewish identity? The wise men of Chelm, golems, Yiddish, Reuben sandwiches, Jews eating Chinese food on Christian holiday, and a broad compulsion to hold Eastern European culture close in spite of its often black and bloody history.
Don't forget Superman.
So what
And
you're saying
other
is
folks in general.
this is Judaism as written by a fifth generation white person who's never met a Sephardim or one of the very conservative Jewish cultures from Africa and Asia.
I mean, if we're gonna go for like pop culture Judaism, why don't we just talk about like comic books?
Oh yeah, Superman.
Superman, not a lot of people in the early comic industry that made all your favorites, the ones that that made millions of dollars on the big screen, were a lot of more than you'd suspect were Jewish.
Yeah, and the funniest part is they were all fucked over horribly by the comic companies that they helped found. Oh yeah, you didn't know Superman's creators were both Jewish. They actually designed his origins and everything as a mixture of the American dream and screw you Nietzsche. Because while Nietzsche himself may not have supported the Nazi bullshit, his family sure as fuck did and used his philosophical writings to reinforce it. A review of the games in this anthology highlights all of these classic Ashkenazi Jewish elements, but not the Sephardim. Fuck them. Fuck the Beta Israelis. And I think I forget it. I think there was a Jewish community in the Malaccas somewhere. Fuck them too. Fuck the Jews of Shanghai as well. Actually, now that I think about it, fuck all of them. They ain't. Fuck all of them.
They aren't real Jews.
It's funny seeing an Ashkenazi do this. It's usually the black Israelites that do this.
They're not even Jewish. Don't tell. Well, yeah, but if you tell them that, it's not. Can we at least agree it's just not worth it?
It ain't worth it. However comfortable and familiar, it can easily slip into sheltered and unsophisticated. It's all locked doors and darkened windows from there. Any Jewish isolation means missing out on the spectacular rainbow-woven design that is Judaism. As a saying that nobody has ever said or heard that doesn't exist goes, not all Jews are Ashkenazi. Oh, you finally tell me that, like 1/9 of the way through the book. As such, here's a glimpse into the wider pattern representation of blah 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 blah. Are you going to actually go into it? Mono and monochrome. Jesus Christ. Don't mind if I just skip through. Brevity is the soul of wit, which means don't waste my time.
Do you think he's Reform?
Reform Judaism?
Yeah. Do you think he is?
Probably both of them are.
He's talking a lot about it like in the way that's kind of sounding a little familiar too, because I know some people that
Consider a role-playing game in which everyone finds themselves in one of Israel's Ma'abaro. Could it not sharpen the message of any Jewish historical journey? In our fictional game, the characters are struggling Jewish immigrants from Morocco, Iraq, Iran, and Yemen living in tents, trying to solve the problems of having no running water or electricity. Okay, I mean, that's something. At least you remember they exist down there. Yep, we both had that same moment. How bridging for Ashkenazi women to find themselves embracing a game that takes place at a Yemenite henna celebration. Perhaps the henna is happening on a rented Chinese restaurant in New York on Christmas Eve. But why would the Yemenis know about this Chinese restaurant tradition if they're fucking immigrants? When they have their own tradition? I don't understand.
I don't know. Is this like the saying that is this going with the stereotype that like all Jews talk to each other, like all Jews like talk to each other and spread gossip to each other?
I think all Jews, apparently according to this book, all Jews are like Mort from Family Guy. I mean, they're literally doing the joke of Jerusalem. You go to Jerusalem, they're all Mort. Or perhaps it's going down in LA to an enormous hall that's rented out one room to celebrate a Yemenite henna and one room to rejoice in an Ashkenazi vort.
Oh no!
I like how they assume we know what these words mean.
Do you ever get the feeling that with some of the things we're reviewing were made for very specific audiences, but they were never really explicitly said they were made for these specific audiences?
This is the case where it is, but the problem is they realized it was not profitable enough. And I'm not doing it as a I'm not doing haha funny based thing there.
No, like it's just a small demographic.
They knew that their buying audience would not be large enough to make it sustainable, but then they didn't bother to explain to the stupid he-who Gentiles that don't know what any of this shit means. They're about some level of misery. I mean, well, Jewish history as a whole is generally misery if you think about it. Where's the Yahweh damn glossary? I don't know, probably somewhere.
The glossaries are usually in the back.
So let's continue to skip this brevity is the soul of wit. Stop wasting my time. Let's go to, here we go, Ayaka by this person. In the beginning, one of you is a god and one of you is a creation. You each are your own beings, but you are influenced and made up of the other. Choose 2 words to describe yourself and 1 to describe how you see your counterpart. And they give a variety of words: gentle, stoic, loving, creative, forgiving, humble, watchful, arrogant, uncaring, scornful, inspiring, blah, blah, blah. Answer some, but not all of the following questions. What was your question?
I'll put in things. Give me a second.
Okay. So where are you? What do you look like to the other? Who is with you? How do you communicate? Shuffle a standard deck of cards and place the deck face down in between you. Playing the game. There are 4 types of scenes in this game: ritual, request, offering, and event. You must each start with a ritual, but after that you may play any scene you'd like at any time and end when you feel the story has come to a natural end. Oh yeah, Japanese are notorious for stealing Judeo-Christian bullshit because it's exotic. Ritual. When you spend time alone or with those who are not your counterpart, draw a card. Based on that card, let the prompt below guide your scene. What happens during this time? What does not happen? What is more significant? Spades is community, disagreement, inclusion, and dissolution. Hearts is peace, stagnation, tradition, and tension. Clubs is fear, aggression, isolation, and danger. Diamonds is scarcity, appreciation, desire, greed. Okay, this game's already a bit confusing so far, but let's continue.
This is what happens when you try and repurpose a deck of cards.
Request. When you request something of your counterpart, you each draw a card. The initiator, the one who's making the request, draws first. The card represents their intention. How do you ask? Based on the following table, decide what you are intending to request. Then the receiver draws a card, and this represents their interpretation of the request. And how do you answer? Oh, God. So these are this is the table. It's not in an actual table, despite this being written in Microsoft Word. I don't know why they couldn't make a table. It's not that hard. It's not that frickin' hard. They don't have a thing like Table 1A. This is already starting to look a little more incompetent. Actually, no, it's a little more competent still than Derek's.
Honestly, I'm kind of just surprised they just didn't make a table in Google Power and in PowerPoint and then just screenshot it and put it in there.
I've gone cross-eyed already. I have no clue. Is there an option to play as the Pharisees? Now that would be not the Pharisees, but around the time of Jesus, there were so many interesting Judaic schools of thought that you could easily do a very fun game around that setting. Like, that setting can totally be repurposed as a game, and it's really cool. Using a deck of cards for conflict resolution is great. Using it to define the entire story, not. Yeah. Offering. When you offer something to your counterpart, you each draw a card. The initiator, the one making the offer, draws first. The card represents their intention. How do you make the offer? Based on the following table. Oh, God. So it's the same table for both. This represents their interpretation of the request. How do you respond? Event. When something special and important happens, that is an event. You may use this scene at any time in the game, and you may pick from the list or draw a card. You and any of the prompts can refer to whatever
Oh
player
God, he's right.
characters to which makes the most sense.
Oh God, Holtz is right. There's no capitalization in any of this.
Oh God, no. This is terrible. I don't know, is this better or worse than Derek's Empire Satanis?
I mean, I think he had better technical grammar.
Oh, that's bad. That's not good.
Like,
so these are the events for that. So we got a beta Israeli writing not in their traditional liturgical language of Ge'ez, by the way. This is oh God. If you can't take the heat, get out of the ring by a fella. Is that like the Alan Smithy? Is a fella? Is a fell? Is that the new Alan Smithy? Is a fella? Yeah, you're right. We should probably stop fetching about this. This is going to be the biggest fight of your career. You know it. Your managers know it. This is the one that's going to propel you to superstardom in your class. The bookers have to make this worthwhile for everyone to watch. The story climax is here. When you see who you're booked with, though, you're confused. Your opponent is built from parts unknown, which you understand, but you've never seen his name. Oh, you fuckers. This is just ripping off the fight that Jacob has with God. This is the big wrestling match he and God had from sun up to sundown. Fuck me. I mean, that's a cool scene, but that's not really much of a game now, is it? Actually, you know what would be a more interesting game if you're going to use, like, the time of Jacob? A game where you play each of his 12 sons. You know, the forefathers of the tribes of fucking Israel. God. Well, anyway, you've never seen
look
him.
at this. I was gonna say, look at the funny image of the man about to punch a bush on fire.
Oh, hey, this actually looks about as good as if I ever got around to making Gunlock into my own book. Nah, I'm joking. I think I'd put a little more effort, but not by much.
To be honest, Adam, I have very little artistic talent, and I think the only thing here that is too hard for me is the bush itself.
So, yeah, you're facing your opponent. You realize you've been booked to fight an old man, or maybe not. You're honestly not sure. They seem to be old and young at the same time. Can't keep memory of their features. It's not until they smile at you, it hits you like a physical blow. They're not mortal. They are, you realize, God themselves.
God
that
has
would be
personally
cool.
come down to beat your ass. God has personally come down to beat your ass.
Yeah, come on. Don't you want to play those assholes like Gad and Asher, or you play little Binyamin? Don't you want to play one of those guys, or like Joseph's two sons, Manasseh and Edom, or whatever, Ephraim? Don't you want to play them? Doesn't that sound cooler? So the booking. This is a 2-player game. One of you will be playing the wrestler, the other will be playing God in the audience. Yeah, this is terrible. You'll sort of be playing. You're kind of playing. I like that for wording. You're sort of playing. Yeah, this is kind of a game. Kind of. You'll be playing a complicated card game called Shithead. So you'll need at least one deck of regular playing cards with no jokers. You can add decks if you want to elongate the fight. If you want to try playing the game without telling the story a couple of times first, to get a feel for how the movement of the cards work, the rules of the game are included for this. I'll play the Pillar of Salt. No, man, I'm the salt golem here. If anyone's gonna turn into poisonous sodium chloride, it's gonna be me. The wrestler decides if they're a heel or face. God is both simultaneously, but you both still ascribe to the rules of wrestling, of which there are many. No, they're not. The whole point is the referee has a brain aneurysm and stands brainlessly looking at the audience while the heel cheats. You don't need to know the rules of wrestling to play this game, but please abide by the laws of physics at the very least. God does not cheat at wrestling, at least not out of kayfabe. The art is like missionary pamphlets that teach D&D. No, Jack Chick has better art than this. We've done a Chick Track special. Do all the mini games? Yeah, all of them use cards because what? You think we're rich enough to get D6s or something like that? Buddy, come on. Everyone knows you can go to the dollar store and get a pack of cards for like $1. You think we're gonna go to like the GameStop and Game Shop and buy like D6s? Come on, man. What do you think we're made of? Money? So, what's your usual gimmick in the ring? Are you a jobber booked to lose to boost other wrestlers? Are you a monster typically unbeatable from parts unknown also? What's your finishing move? What's your relationship with the audience? You could be a heel that everyone considers an excellent bad guy. If so, I'm converting to Islam instead.
God, this is so boring.
I know, it's terrible. Let's skip this. This is boring. The entrance, blah, blah, blah. You draw cards. Here's how it works. If you draw 2, you reset the pile from the start, and it's a near fall. 3, act as a blank card. It means nothing. If you get a 7 or better, I guess, you must play a card with a value of 7 left to avoid taking the whole pile. This is crappier than our Egyptian rat screw.
This isn't a role-playing game. This is a card game with fluff attached.
This is like crappy card games.
Don't compare this to Yu-Gi-Oh. Don't compare this to Yu-Gi-Oh.
No, these are crappy like old card games, where you'd use the old 52. And what you'd do is, it'd be like Jim Rummy or I'd rather play poker at this point.
Yeah. I'd much rather play poker, but
at this point, I want to dig up my old Yu-Gi-Oh cards that I left abandoned and covered in dust and play a game of that.
Burns the entire pile, removing it from play. Knocked a ref out of the ring for several minutes. Blah blah blah. The finish. When you run out of cards in your hands, you near the conclusion. You flip the booking card to reveal who's booked to win. If the card's red, the wrestler's the one who wins. If the card's black, then God's booked to win. So you don't even have a chance at actually beating them.
RNG. It's literal RNG.
Fuck that.
Welcome to Yu-Gi-Oh.
It's just confusing what the point of it is.
Fire up Tabletop Simulator, boys. It's Poker Nut. I haven't played poker in a bajillion years. I only know the only one I'm kind of familiar with is Deuce is Wild. Dybbuk Cup. Dybbuk, also spelled Dybbuk, plural Dybbukim, in Jewish folklore, a disembodied human spirit that because of former sins wander restlessly until it finds a haven in the body of a living person.
The poker I'm most familiar with is the kind you play on in the poker night with Brock Sampson.
I'm feeling sorry for the Levi who had to deal with this many rules. Yeah, Leviticus is... Ugh. The Roth family has been haunted for generations by what the family elders believe is an evil spirit bent on destroying their bloodline. Some members of the family have thrown themselves into investigating the curse, hell-bent on breaking it. Some are ambivalent or skeptical, and some older members are simply content to pass the buck to their relatives. Tonight, the family gathers together for a meal to commemorate the Yarzeit of Aunt Leah, the last member of the family killed in a strange and uncanny accident. By the way, Yarzeit, they don't explain. Also, again, this is another case of Ashkenazi focus. Where's my beta Israeli representation, guys? Dybbuk Cup.
Wait, are you accusing this of not being woke enough?
Yeah, if they're aiming for woke, they're not doing it enough. They're failing at it.
Wow.
Your white girl problems are failing. Texas Hold'em. I'd have to relearn how to play that game. Dybbuk Cup is a game to be played at a dinner party or festive meal, preferably while eating it. You'll need 5+ people to play this farce. Blank place card for each seat at the table, an extra wine glass, a container to draw lots out of, and a number of paper equal to the lot. Oh, God. Leave all lots blank except one. Is this like musical chairs? Is this going to be musical chairs? Oh, please tell me this is going to be musical chairs.
It is. I think it is.
So before the meal begins, discuss which members of the Roth family you'll be playing and their relationship to the other are. This might include strange relatives only in town for the dinner, close siblings or cousins, family friends who've been more or less adopted, or something else. Write your so I could play the weird deformed gremlin that lives under their shelf. Write your name and a short descriptor of the place card at your seat and face it outward, and everyone at the table can see it. Throughout the meal, you'll be interacting in character as the family, making conversation on building the bonds you decided on during this phase.
Yeah, this is just werewolf or mafia.
This is to give you an idea. When we did the feminism RPG, there were at least a couple of games that were interesting. Now, this could still happen. We're only about a third of the way through. But I'm not liking our odds, buddy. Oh yeah, the old style, not Werewolf the Apocalypse. You're talking about like the format that eventually Among Us stole. Yeah. So the player who draws the black spot will be the possessed, the member of the Roth family who the evil spirit's attached itself to. The possessed has no idea that they are serving the vessel for an evil spirit and must not act to the contrary. The evil spirit's merely piggybacking on their body and consciousness. Throughout the meal, the possessed may attempt to secretly pass the black spot to any other Roth family member at the table. Possessed must act completely in character while doing this and must never be seen as passing the spot. The spot may be secretly passed below the table through shaking hands. God. They become possessed.
You want to hear a really?
Oh, sorry.
I was say, want to hear an interesting fact I remember reading a few years ago. In regards to Abrahamic faiths, it's actually discovered that the people who are the most superstitious and believe in things like possessions, ghosts, and those other things are actually not the hyper religious. It's the people who've kind of fall in the middle, the sort of religious. It's the ones that aren't really nearly as secure in their faith as they believe it to be, which is why they let superstition in. Because if you truly believed in this, well, how can there be anything? Well, how can, for instance, in the Abrahamic stuff, how can there be anything but God? There is the book of the devil means nothing. Interesting fact because it's more. You know what? It's more interesting than this game.
Yeah.
So as the meal begins, fill the extra wine glass with wine or juice and set it in the middle of the table. It's the Dybbuk's cup, and the level of liquid inside the closest of another death in the family. Whenever any member leaves the room, knocks a dish, glass, or piece of silver on the floor, mentions Aunt Leia or any other dead relative by name, raises their voice, denies something to be true, or refills their own glass of wine, they must drink a sip from the cup. They can be as large as or as small as the cup can be, as long as some amount of liquid. Oh, this game's not going to work in your eternal lockdown. Every time a family member drinks from the cup, they may choose to accuse another family member of being the current possessed. If the accusation is correct, the possessed must confirm as such, and the game proceeds to the end. If the accusation is incorrect, nothing happens. If it's ever completely emptied, the family member who emptied it's killed in a strange and horrible accident. Discuss what the accident is and how it happens. Do not play the death and scene if you're uncomfortable doing so. That's the whole point, though. We'll play the rest of the family's reaction to it. Make the tone as tragic or as darkly comedic as you like it.
Or as farcical.
I'm just envisioning like ancient Aunt Gertrude. I've fallen and I can't get up. and like as she's falling and complaining that she can't get up, like a fucking plate falls on her throat. If the Dybbuk's cup is... Oh, yeah, we already read that. The game ends when all members of the Roth family but the possessed have died, when the possessed is the one they empty the cup, or when a family member has made an accurate guess who is currently the possessed. When all of the spirits are dead, the spirit won. Let the possessed describe how they feel about being the last of their bloodline, what the evil spirit does with them. If the possessed dies, the Roth family and evil spirit are at a stalemate, may choose two family members who will be killed by the spirit among them. That's kind of crap. And when the possessed is discovered, they have won. Describe how the family excise the evil spirit from their midst and what they do to make sure it never returns. It's a horror game. No, it fucking isn't. And safety tools are an important part of any good horror game. It's barely a horror game at all.
Actually, for best results, you should just fill those glasses with whiskey.
Yeah, you put a bit of whiskey. No. For the best result, Put a bit of strychnine or fucking ricin into the Dybbuk's cup. Turn it into Flavorade.
Play it with ethanol.
No, methanol. That's even better. I've gone blonde. I've gone blonde, Mabel.
This is awful.
It's the least bad because it's an actual game that's not too complicated to play. But that's just because it's fucking werewolf / mafia / Among Us / any other shitty fucking game of its type. Emmet. Oh no. Oh no, this is the Promethean game. You are Golem, forged from clay and given life by another Ashkenazi game. Congratulations! You are Golem, living with truth emblazoned on your forehead, and one step away from death. You are Golem, protector of the Jewish people, but only the Ashkenazis, because I don't think the fucking Beta Israeli and Sephardim have Golem. You are Golem. Okay, I am Golem.
Golem. I am Golem. Bum bum.
What you'll need to play: 2 or more players, pencil and paper. Emmet is a GM-less storytelling game. Okay.
Oh no.
In
Well,
Emmet,
if it's GM-less, I'm gonna give Emmett a machine gun.
in Emmet, you play Golem. As Golem, you are the protectors of a community. But
As Golem, I will smash.
as Golem, I love how they fucking.
I am Golem.
Yeah, the Golem,
Smash
I think, does go.
beauty after some weight. Roar!
I also this is the first one I think that's actually capitalized. I think the Dybbuk's Cup might be. No, Dybbuk's Cup also. So they remembered capitalization at this point in the book. They could afford capitalization. I am Golem. That's all they can say. I am Golem. But before we know your story, you must know the story of that community. Answer the questions below either collaboratively or in a round. As you answer the questions, pass around a sheet of paper. This will be the map of your community. As you answer each question, add a new detail to the map. Where is your community located? I don't know, near a fucking garbage dump. How's the community first formed? Trash. The trash man lives there. There's a larger society nearby. How do the people of your community differ from them? They see they're more affluent, and they see the trash people as trash people because they live in the dump. What is the particular tradition among the people of your community? Well, you see, they literally build houses out of garbage. What's a consistent editing standard for 500? What are you talking about, editors? I think there is actually an editor for this book. They just couldn't be arsed to fucking do their job. Forming the Golem. This is your community, but you're not necessarily part of it, at least not in the traditional sense. You are not born, you are created. Each player should take a scrap of paper and write the following on it. That is Emet, the Hebrew word for truth. It is inscribed upon your forehead and is a reminder that as Golem, you are beings of truth. Actually, I also could have swore in mythology it was under the tongue, but what the fuck do I know? It was in the mouth. It is also a reminder that you are not always a moment away from death, for without the aleph, it would read. That is Met, the Hebrew word for death. Can my forehead words be end me? Well, yeah. I mean, if you just remove the middle, the last letter, if you remove the last letter, it just says dot. I am dead.
I am dead.
As Golem, you're also created with a commandment. Your purpose and method of helping your community. Recycling golems. The editor had a stand-up desk. That's how hard they could be asked to do their job. This commandment was written for you. You did not choose it. On the paper where you previously inscribed Emet, write a sentence of command for another golem. It should contain at the very least a verb, a noun, and an adjective or adverb. Are you going to tell me what those are? You know, if I was a small child, I wouldn't know what any of these are. Examples include protect innocent children, tend to the hanging gardens, quickly mend the broken, sustain the river's purity. Oh, that's the first letter? Oh yeah, I forgot abjads work like that, or at least Semitic languages work like that. I think Arabic works the same way.
Where they like read it backwards.
Oh, compared to us, they read from right to left. I know it feels weird, but hey, it works for them, so I'm not going to complain. When you have decided on a sentence and have written it down, pass your paper to another player who has not yet received a commandment. That is now their commandment. Playing the game. The story of your golem will take place over 4 or 5 acts, alternating between 2 phases. Problem presents itself and time passes. So, community faces trouble. I'm just going to summarize this because this is kind of...
Yeah, it's not an RPG. It's a fucking like party game.
Well, I mean,
Not
that's
even
what
that.
feminism was, but these are boring. So you pick items from the severity tables, and then eventually in Act 5 you have to pick the final act. So you play out the scenes, blah blah blah, defend the community. If you ever run out of words in your commandment, wait, what? The verb of your commandment can only be removed when it's the final word available. Wait, okay, so this is a little different. Read the inscription. This will help define the exact nature of the problem posed to your community. Ask any additional questions you need to understand the issue. Ask yourselves, how do we Golem approach this? Play out your answers to the question by describing how you attempt to solve the issue. But know that you can only act in a manner that fulfills their commandment. When acting in line with your commandment, you will always succeed what you're doing and may not always have the intended effect. How does your blah 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 phrase? The phase ends when all answer the question, have we done enough to stave off this problem with yes. When you answer, such time passes. If you ever feel that your commandment restricts you to inaction, you may remove words from your commandment up until you feel your commandment allows you to act to solve the problem again. For example, defend the town peacefully could become defend the town. Play Moish Party. Yeah. The verb of your commandment may only be removed when it is the final word remaining. If you ever run out of words in your commandment, unbound by the words of your commandment, you may now act in any way you wish to solve the problem that faces your community. However, once the phase ends, erase the LF from your emet and have it read death as you resign yourself to oblivion. Any player who has done so may continue to ask and answer questions, but their golem will forever remain motionless. Time passes. Ages may go by before you call to act again. Have your group answer 2 questions. How much time has passed? Has their community grown, changed, or shrunk? Based on your answers, take the following actions. If your community grew, add a new feature to the map. If your community changed, add a feature. You may rewrite commandments, replacing as many words as you wish. If your community shrank, remove a feature from the map. You may rewrite your commandments, removing a word from it. The verb of your commandment can only be removed when it's the final word. If you rewrite a commandment that's not grammatically correct, you may make edits. For example, protecting innocence, change to protect that can be corrected. Problem, yeah, and these are the problems. So there's vandalism, libel, resource strain, illness, violence, food shortage, poverty, natural disaster, colonization, and then extermination.
Uh-oh.
That will always be the final problem, by the way.
Exterminate. Exterminate. Exterminate.
I'm not even gonna dignify that wordplay.
Yeah, I'm going out. Jewish inspirations for world building and adventuring. So here we go. Jewish history, folklore, mythology provide wonderful inspiration that you can incorporate into your role-playing games. The following are adventure hooks, scenario, mini-games, and historical background that you can weave into your sessions. So this isn't a game. This is just, here. Hey, Butthole,
Yeah.
here's some ideas for your crappy D&D game. Here, Goyam,
it's
fucking take our people's shit. And it's still Ashkenazi, by the way.
And the sad thing is, it isn't even a good setting. Like, you could legitimately make a good setting based on being a medieval Jew.
Or even
Like, it'd be like,
even like classical age, like
I mean,
during the Two
unironically-
Kingdoms period, and then you also have the Sumerians.
I mean, I was gonna say, joking aside, that sounds like an actually kind of interesting roleplay experience.
Like you got Israel, yeah, medieval Jews are fun, and you can also do the 2.5 kingdoms of Israel, Judea, and Samaria, and the encroaching
if you want to
of
make
the Assyrians.
if you want to give it a more fantastical bet, Jews are kind of have it as in world building. Monster Hunter is one of the few ways that Jews can get ahead in society because it's low on the totem pole. and it's a dangerous job.
Also, just because of their studies into Kabbalah, at least some of them, Kabbalists are one of the few that can master the dangerous art of alchemy, which means that you can create wonderful tonic solutions and even the mighty golem. But you're one of the few in the community that can do this.
See that's gonna be better than what we get in this.
Probably. So this chapter's far from comprehensive because I banged it out probably in a week. I'll give him credit. It probably was at least a week. My goal is to provide a sampling from different parts of Jewish traditions, perhaps inspire further research. Fair enough. If you are not Jewish, tread carefully and avoid using stereotypes during play. This is despite the fact that, funnily enough, Jewish players tend to lean into them more. Okay, so Jews in the medieval ages. Fantastical versions of Europe in the Middle Ages, literally Middle Ages. But they often lack Jewish influence or perspective. If you're running a game or building a world that's inspired by the Middle Ages, here's some aspects of Jewish experience you may want to include. So, much of Jewish life in that game was shaped by attitudes and policies of local leaders. In Eastern Europe, Magdeburg rights were a series of local laws that granted Jews economic and political rights, leading to mass migration from the more anti-Semitic regions. Catholic Church varied wildly in its treatment of the Jews. Some popes would issue orders protecting, while others would enforce deeply anti-Semitic policies. Ashkenazis and Aboleths. That's pretty good.
Wait, is it? Speaking of Jew, remember how how they're getting rid of phylactery now because of that?
Even though that's actually a Greek term, but whatever. Yeah, apparently one dummy on Twitter managed to cry enough that Wizards of the Coast decided to remove a Greek word because it may or may not have very slight Kabbalist elements to it. Anyway, local leaders would often use Jews as scapegoats for any number of local problems. It would lead to pogroms, massacre, blah, blah, blah. This is literally telling us nothing new. Despite waves of persecution, European Jews were able to benefit from several golden ages throughout the medieval period. Jews flourished in Iberia under the Caliphate of Cordoba and in Poland. In both cases, the regions became hubs of Jewish culture and philosophy. Also ignoring, of course, their North African, Egyptian, and Levantine traditions as well. But, you know, this is what happens when white bread talks about a religion that they only know a little bit of, but they're pretending they know more of. This would be like a local Catholic talking about the Malankaren Syriac Orthodox Church without knowing a fucking bit about it. Pretty bad, actually. Anyway, middle-aged story hooks. Local rulers considering a new set of laws that will cover the Jews in your lands. How do you persuade them to implement favorable laws which will increase safety and avoid anti-Semitic laws that would lead to persecution? You can't. You can't. You're at best a middle-class burgher. What the fuck can you do? If the local ruler demands that all Jews have to wear fucking sombreros that are painted gold, what the fuck can you do to stop that? I don't think you can do much, can you? Unless you have like a lot of money on hand to bribe them to not. Or you somehow assassinate them, or... I mean, you could try talking, but that might not necessarily work. You've heard rumors of another crusade which will pass through your lands on the way to fight off some far-off enemy. Last time it happened, crusaders massacred and looted local Jewish communities. And this did happen a lot, most notoriously during the First and Second Crusade. How can you work with the local political and religious leaders to keep your community safe? No, but you can't. Unless you can outnumber the fucking knights, you fucking can't. That's why do you think they were able to do it in the first place historically, you know? You either leave or you somehow scrabble together or appeal to the local church. Holy shit. This part of the book is actually giving us good information. If you know history at all, this is kind of like no shit. If you don't, this is kind of informative, so I guess I give it a 6 out of 10. It was okay. The rulers, the Crusaders were fucking insane shitheads that just, like, fucked up everything they went to. Fun fact, in the First Crusade, there was an incident where the Emperor of Byzantium's pet lion was killed by a bunch of psychotic Lombard like fucking crusaders because they wanted to get at treasure that they believed the beast guarded.
God.
And what happened was the Byzantine emperor, frowning with utmost seriousness, kicked them out early. Like, I was going to supply you fuckers, but then you killed my pet lion. Get out.
You killed Fluffykins.
So the rulers of your land have issued a new edict expelling its Jewish population. How do you help the Jewish community flee across a hostile landscape to settle in new lands? You're gonna need to get provisions. So, provisions, and also avoid the peasants murdering you. Also, you like how all of these are, you're about to experience a bad fucking time. Don't you like that? Inquisitors are closing in on a community of crypto-Jews who are practicing Judaism in secret after converting to avoid expulsion. If caught, these Jews might be tortured or burned alive. How do you help them escape their fate? That's more of a 15th to 16th century thing, but okay, whatever. I guess 16th century is close enough. Local attitudes toward Jews changed dramatically throughout the Middle Ages, varying from actively encouraging Jewish settlement to active hostility. If you're running a game with Jewish characters, use this minigame to determine the status and safety. For each polity, roll a 6-sided die and read the corresponding segment. So here are some of the things. Oh, by the way, you like how it's an actual historical arc. There's no contact with Jews. They first engage with new polity through trade. Local leaders are like, they're really cool because they boost the economy. Golden Age exists, and then they start scapegoating, and then they're kicked out. Don't you like that? Like, here's the cycle. You can't escape it, motherfucker. Horrible. I'm not even reading them, because screw that. Mythology and folklore, the Dybbuk, we already fucking know about these. So I'm skipping that. Shtetl. Shtetls are haunted by... They don't explain what a shtetl is, by the way. Is that their temple? They should say what it is.
Nah.
So anyway, Dybbuks haunt the fucking Jewish temple, and you gotta kick them out. Blah, blah, blah. Golems. We already know what golems are. Characters are tasked with learning the secret word that will animate a golem. They might obtain this word from the lost notes of a great scholar or from a lineage of righteous rabbis who passed the knowledge down from one generation. Town lost control and it's wreaking havoc, or they discover an ancient golem after it was no longer needed. How do they deal with such a thing? And they have a horde of golems. Renegade golem, golem. Anyway, Leviathans. So the Leviathan, then the Behemoth, and then Ziz. These creatures are near invincible, and most characters should seek to avoid them at all costs. If they do encounter them, best tack is likely avoiding them. And then there's also Mega Golem, because I can't come up with any other Jewish ideas, so Golem times 1,000,000. You know, it's sad when I actually think Crusader Kings 2 has more things involving Jewish people than this book.
And playing a Jew in CK2 is one of the
Suffering?
Yeah, I mean it's more interesting than being a Taoist though.
Shtetl is a village? Oh. Okay. You gotta kick the ghost out. Ooh, isn't this a unique concept? Ooh. Mega Golem. Now that would be cool. Like you pilot the giant clay robot punching the giant rhinoceros monster as it's rampaging through like fucking Syria. You gotta stop it before it reaches Damascus. So you pilot the giant mega golem and you fucking Voltron separate into a team of golems to stop the giant Leviathan, the giant fucking behemoth. That's, of course, being led by the zombified corpse of Bohemond the Crusader. I will become king again. Ah! This book is so bad, I'm inventing even worse ideas. Get in the golden
God.
Shinji.
Uh,
Evangelion, but designed as a medieval Jewish drama would be funny. Divination and oneromancy. They had mixed things to say about it. Certain types are prohibited, like necromancy, astrology, idol worship, and actually augury, while others are in the Torah. The local ruler believes deeply in finding the and in dreams. You gotta interpret dreams.
where have I heard that before?
Golems, and more golems. I've seen more representation in D&D monster names. Yeah.
Yeah, this is garbage.
This is mostly garbage. If you've never
Oh.
cracked open a history book, this has minor value.
Honestly, this is just kind of boring, and like I like.
Yeah,
you
we can skip ahead because
Yeah,
the majority
we
of
don't
this
care.
is utter garbage.
Okay, so the Wise Men of Chelm. Chelm's the town. It's a real place. We're not talking about
No,
that place.
I'm saying I think we should skip ahead to page 72 in the PDF.
So we're not doing the Wise Men of Chelm either?
I mean, a lot of this is just utter garbage.
Oh, God. Okay, then, so the Wise Men of Chelm, basically, you just gather other people, you play the Wise Men, and I guess your idea is you have to come up with solutions, but the solutions are stupid? Is that how it's supposed to be?
Yep, good.
Okay, good enough. Skibbity scop. The Talmud! This is actually important. Topic of this game is a common experience with the whole diaspora. Ordinary people often fraught travels through uncertain... Actually, it depends on the strain of Judaism. There's Karaites who actually throw out anything but the Tanakh, but, you know, whatever.
Then there's reforms.
And this is literally just arguing the game.
This is just, you play rabbis, you argue over the Talmud. You have to understand what it is. Cool.
I mean, as my friend would put it, arguing is the Jewish experience, like, and that's like I'm not actually like
Yeah.
The accounts of Getzel Shlomo.
Oh, no. Did
Is he picking these names on purpose? Is this a neo-Nazi spook disguised as a Jewish man?
I mean, J.R. Goldberg sounds like something Paul would come up with.
Getzel Shlomo and then Chaim Shmuel. Fuck.
Oh no.
Buddha wept, as did Jesus and Muhammad. All three of them are weeping right now, along with Samuel and fucking David.
Vishnu is crying in one of his many incarnations.
Shiva's raging and destroying the wheel again.
No. Shiva's dancing very passionately.
If denied, he would express his thanks in the same way. Blah, blah, blah. Chaim left the village. My only request is to be buried in a new row in the poorest part of...
Yeah, it's garbage.
You have to do a funeral of a secretly pious man. You have to eulogize your dead dad. Don't you want to play a game where you eulogize your dead relative? Doesn't that sound fun?
The cantor's son is an orphan now, and we must steal him lemons.
This
is just schizophrenia.
Get you lemons.
It's... I don't understand it. It's like fucking hybrid. It's just nonsense. I'm too smooth-brained to get it.
I designed this book for both Jews and Gentiles, but wait, why aren't you listening? What, you want me to explain these things? Well, fuck you. You just gotta do it. God damn it. Orphan is an RPG. It's loosely based on the characters from The Shalom Alechem stories, which of course every fucking Jew knows. All the Jews, ranging from the ones in Ethiopia to the ones in fucking Indonesia. All of them know. All of them know this Ashkenazi myth. Holy fucking shit! By the way, notice that all of it is from the Ashkenazi point of view, so the entire title and the Kickstarter is what we call in the professional business a big fucking lie. Russia, hibbidi-boop-a-boop, kidda-boop-a-boop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's garbage.
You know, fun fact, I actually probably have Jewish ancestry in my blood somewhere, since my part of my family came from Vilnius, which was plurality Jewish. So if this is what some of my ancestors believed in, holy shit, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Grandma's drinking song, you know, 'cause alcoholism. Matriarchal family of bootleggers during Prohibition. You know, this actually almost sounds fun. Let's do a quick look. So the warm-up activities, you must give the onion. You pour drinks to everyone, hold the onion, you're the audience. So you just hold an onion. So the scene, person 2 is cooked. So person 4 always is the person who hates whatever. Person 1 gives them the onion. Everyone else becomes silent as person 4 delivers a rant about hating whatever. Signal the end of this rant by taking a drink. Everyone else takes a drink. Then you have to sing this to happy birthday. And then emotions change. And now you're resentful, then depressed, then flirtatious.
How is this a game?
It
I don't think it
isn't.
is. I think this was who wrote this? Lucian, I think you need to stop drinking the vodka. Stop drinking your vodka. Each scene, here's more scenes, here's more scenes. Here's more scenes to row your boat. Here's more songs. Here's more songs that allegedly are Jewish, but I don't really know. So when life gives you lemons, someone's gonna steal them from you. Lunch rush. Welcome to the deli. Ah!
What?
This is another Ashkenazi thing.
Trust me, this one at least it has something.
So, you know, before we get into it, because it has something, before we get into this, notice that, you know, for something that's supposed to be the collective Jewish culture, it seems to be a lot of Central and Eastern European crackers telling the Beta Israelis and Sephardim what to do. Is this Arabic propaganda? Is this like Arabic anti-propaganda, like a Jew, you know, like an Arab false flag? I'm just complaining that there's other Jewish peoples. Like I mentioned the Sephardim; those are the ones that actually came from Spain, that spent most of their time in Africa. And is Jewish deli? Yeah, it's kind of a stereotype. I mean, don't get me wrong; they got some good fucking meat cuts,
I mean,
and I love their shit. But you know.
I think I'm gonna actually kind of drop the jokes for like a half second, and I think it's actually just more like a weird superiority. Like he feels like that his version of the Jewish experience is the quintessential American Jewish experience, and
That
therefore since he's lived through
yeah.
the quintessential Jewish experience, everyone should everyone should be familiar with it because he's a quintessential American Jew. So all other American Jews should have similar experiences to him.
Yeah, you're fucking spot on. Goldberg, you're a racist against the black people. I'm not even fully joking. I think Goldberg honestly is too blind to the fact that his version of white boy Jew is not the only strain.
I mean, I thought you were referencing like the Ethiopian Jews.
Yeah, Beta Israelis and the Sephardim are still Semitic and actually much more closer to Arabic in culture. And they've had communities from as far east as Morocco to as far south as Yemen and probably even into sub-Saharan Africa to a limited degree. And there's also communities of them in India as well. And I believe in Indonesia. So that's why I'm kind of getting nettled, because this was sold as from across, but then it just becomes Jewish stereotype the game. This isn't as offensive, in my opinion, as Thirsty Sword Lesbians, in that I think there is an earnestness in this one, rather than a sex pervert predator, maybe? Because Thirsty Sword
being-
Lesbian, every
Yeah.
class in that game is abuser or victim. This one feels like a culturally arrogant, like a Woodrow Wilson if he was Jewish kind of guy.
Yeah.
Like,
Anyway,
okay,
let's
Lunch Rush.
let's move on ahead with Retail, the RPG.
So, Gishmak. Players take on the roles of employees in a noisy, crowded, and far from Zagat-rated, I don't know what that even means, Jewish delicatessen. They're destined for greatness as long as they don't run out of burekas. What? Okay.
Words, they mean things. What do they mean, though?
The only one I know is the Reuben and latkes, because potato pancakes are fucking great.
Oh yeah.
And who are the unlikely heroes? Perhaps we meet the baker, blessed with strong forearms and unfettered access to the deli's top-secret rye bread recipe. Sourdough's better. But rye is really good. I love them in my deli sandwiches. Or the host, with the right to refuse service to anyone. Perhaps the deli's owner, saddled with the family business and with dreams of making it literally any other career, makes an appearance. Only the most fearless player can be the deli master, who runs the games and hurls egg salad shortages with cranky customers in the players. This actually feels like a game I'd play.
Yes.
This feels like there's a great old game called I think it's called Fast Food Ninja, where you play an elite society of martial artists who also run like a fucking fast food joint like Burger King. And the whole point is you make your deliveries fast and accurate.
Like your ninja stars.
And I like this horrible idea because this actually sounds like a really fun everyone is John style game.
Yeah.
Where you have to deal with like Karens who complain like, this Reuben, I asked for like corn, I asked for like sauerkraut, but you gave me too much. And you got your fat asshole who's like, can you put more mayonnaise on my sub? But if you put like 8 pounds of mayonnaise on it, can I have more? Can I just get the whole thing and I just pours it on there? You gotta deal with the person who poops in the fucking toilet sink. Like, that sounds actually fun for like an hour and a half. Like, as a shit post, everyone is John. Like, we're gonna do a session of this. I'm liking the cut of this one's jib. Today is like any other day. Customers will arrive and make unreasonable demands, and you have to cater to their needs, which are sometimes literal catering needs. Oh, you also do catering. Oh, that's horrible. I love it. But why is today different from all other days? The rabbi's cousin's coming in to review the deli for their semi-successful food blog. Oh no. You have no idea what this person looks like, but there's no way you can disappoint. Rabbi Feinberg!
Why are we laughing?
Because that's like the second most stereotypical name I could think of besides Katz or Goldberg. So close to the high holidays. If your service falls short for this anonymous customer, it might spell the end for the deli. Not really. Review blogs aren't that fucking important, actually. They hurt, but not as much as they usually do. Faced with customers with specific dietary restrictions, oh god, you gotta deal with the ones who pretend they have like celiac disease or like allergies to things that they actually don't. Oh god. Personality quirks, checkered pasts, and unreasonable demands. There should also be like a small chance like a crackhead tries to steal the register and is armed. That should be a thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's a rare encounter. The deli's hardworking staff must sling Reubens and black and white cookies before time runs out, and the deli's dark secret is exposed. Can you leave the deli? Nonsense, there is no outside. There is only deli!
Deli! This is already better than the entirety of the book.
This is the best thing in the book, and this is saving it from garbage. Oh, no, it's a garbage fire still, but you know. Atmospheric recommendation. The first playtest of this game involved hearty helping of chocolate chip ice cream and dill pickle potato chip. Consider similar snacks when organizing a session of Lunch Rush. It's a game about food, after all. You should also play Michael Winograd's album Kosher Style in the background. It's perfect. A message for the DM. The game lends itself for being totally invented on the spot in its particular moment around the kitchen table, but it's also totally wonderful to develop an elaborate narrative and universe in advance. Prep a campaign or run this one on the fly. You do you! Yeah, you could totally do a Ratatouille RPG.
Gotta be honest. The second I saw that wasn't just a bad joke by you, and that someone actually wrote that.
Did you die?
Yeah, but I am rapidly losing the will to live.
Build the deli. Consider the physicality of your deli, its unique smell and sounds, its design and architecture, the way the afternoon sun basically design what your deli looks like, so you and the players can design your. Was that kosher CD product place? Probably. Maybe they have a person that they know.
Maybe they just really like it.
That too. That pun has ended me. I'm done. Oy vey! Consider the deli's atmosphere, its vibe, its aura of welcoming warning. The customer base made up of neighborhood regulars or a constant stream of new characters. Probably both. Most delis tend to have your regulars and then your other people. Come up with a physical description of the place and its people. Whose pictures are on the wall? And like you just, you know, here's Uncle Ephraim. He came from Belarus.
No, better. There's a picture. There's just a random picture of Charlie Sheen.
There is a picture, like you have the founder who's like Ephraim bin Matzel from like 1892 when the store opened. But then there's just a random picture of fucking Charlie Sheen in an Elvis wig on like a fucking mannequin head somewhere.
And the only explanation for it was, I liked it. It livened up the room.
You find like the fucking steering wheel of a Chevrolet Bel Air attached to the wall for no reason. The linoleum's been partially replaced with new fucking hardwood flooring, but the linoleum's still like in part of the back. Every now and again you'll hear a in the walls, and like you have the superstitious chef say, "Oh no, that's just the Dybbuk. Don't worry, he won't get you." You know, you can come up with like a real. This is good. This is It's amplified by everything being shit, but this is genuinely fun. Oh no, powered by the apocalypse stats, core statistics. We'll just change it to everyone's John mechanics, and it gets better. When creating a character, each player should assign one of the following numbers to each stats: 2, 1, 1, 0, -1. Characters are interesting because of their flaws. So you got Chutzpah, which is audacity. These are powered by the apocalypse. Desperation, fortitude, cleverness, and nothing at all. Invent a statistic specifically relevant to your character's backstory and insist it applies to every situation. So you could have laziness be an actual stat. So you just find like the other chef sleeping underneath like the fucking cabinets where you store the pots and pans. One of the dining tables is an intact 50s sports car. Oh yeah. It's just for no reason. It's there. And you also see like a fucking cowboy hat signed by like John Wayne. Like just like there, fucking just it's the weirdest shit. I love it. Choose a position. Your position in the deli impacts your skills, your mazel point access. Oh god. And your abilities when it comes to shimmying. That's explained later. You have some decisions to make. Why have you chosen to enter the fast-paced world of Jewish delis? What experiences and enterprise do you bring? So here's what you got. You got butchers, which gives you nice skills and, you know, that. Counter workers, waiters, chefs, bakers, hosts, owners, and busboy. Deli golem forehead... A Delum goalie. You can either have the gag be it's not an actual golem, it just looks like one, but like it has underneath its tongue eject Karen. Like it's not an actual golem, it's just like a life-size, you know, like recreation of one. Or as a gag, like every now and again it just awakens and throws the Karen out. Live the deli, shimmies. Shimmies are a move you make when you need to extricate yourself from a situation or escalate one. When you attempt something gutsy, roll 3d6 and add the modifier. Certain workers may be more likely to succeed on certain shimmies. On a 14 or better, the result's great. 9 to 13, middling, and can be considered a partial success with complications. And this is why I don't like Powered by the Apocalypse. Okay, now admittedly, you don't need to dice roll on every occasion, right? Like when I make the gag of you can struggle to make a sandwich, you don't have to do that if your stats are good enough or if it's such a mundane thing, right? But given that this is an actual deli, my hypothesis of you battling and struggling to make a goddamn sandwich is an actual thing. So my ludicrous explanation on why PBTA is garbage has become reality. You can actively set the store on fire just by making a Reuben sandwich if you do it poorly enough.
Which honestly kind of fits for this kind of game.
And here are some other things you can do, like rain on a parade, break into song as a distraction tactic. So you could just as a gag have one of your fucking waiters do a Springtime for Hitler recreation all of the producers. Lead a revolution. Roll to your experience with Yiddish labor organizing to begin transforming the capitalist deli into a socialist time collective. Oh God!
Oh God, I'm just imagining the Jewish National Bolshevik counter person.
Scan the crowd. Roll to seek allies in the deli. Viral marketing. You could do viral marketing. You put the whole Reuben sandwich in the toaster. No, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to actually just toast the bread. What's wrong with you? Why'd you put the corned beef in the toaster? Oh no, the diner's on fire. What do we do? I say power to the people. We'll fuck the establishment. Revolution now. Why are we not surprised revolutions in a game? Because you have to be a specific mindset to do this. Cafeteria Cohen. Call it Restaurant Rabbi or Cafeteria Cohen.
I think a Restaurant Rabbi is better.
I like yeah, Restaurant Rabbi is pretty good. I'm very happy one of our reviewers seems to either, I don't know if they're Jewish or if they just know the culture a lot better than us, but it's great. It's helping us so much. Because this book sure as fuck doesn't. You can run away. You can run into another room of the deli and hide there. Incite violence. Roll the punch, stab, shoot, kick, chop, or break a seltzer bottle over someone's. Oh, come on. If you're not using Doc Brown's celery soda in a fucking sock, you're not being properly Jewish, buddy. That's one of my dreams one of these days is to get a bottle of celery soda and just try it. Invent a recipe. Egg salad emergency. Kugel kaput. I don't know what a kugel is. If I saw it, I probably would know. Roll to use your delicatessen expertise to add a dish to the menu so you can make up ingredients. Like, oh yeah, let's use dead rats and fucking garbage. Overthrow the bourgeois, yeah. Marry a doctor. Roll to save someone from injury or illness using some combination of Tylenol, hastily applies God, matzo ball soup, or marrying a doctor. Have a sandwich. Roll to fuel yourself with deli food. If you roll garbage, you run out of the one thing you wanted on that sandwich. Have a seance. Maybe the spirits who frequent this deli when it was founded can guide the present proprietors. Oh God, garbage. You release a malevolent golem into the spice drawer. And suffer from a paprika-based haunting until Yom Kippur. Master the deli. Hey, we can't have one day without a problem. The following tables and rules. Oh, here's a random NPC generator. This actually is also useful. I like this.
Yeah, this is actually good.
Shortages. Here are some of the things you need for a Jewish delicatessen. Oh, here's the dark secret. There has to be one. Roll a d10 or invent your own. There's a portal to an alternate dimension in the basement.
Yes.
Is the owner screaming at their incompetence? That's the ghost. The owner screaming at them. Yeah, I can see that. The owner's family has been funneling potato salad to the mob since the 70s. That's also something. A lot of, there's a Jewish mafia. Maybe they're front. Bagel oven has been on fire this entire time. Mrs. Rosenblatt's will is hidden in the drywall of the men's bathroom. It contains the key to finding her vast corned beef fortune, which has been missing since the 30s. Oh, I love 5. The French fries aren't homemade.
No.
I love it. Isaac Bashevis Singer once ate a meal at this deli and described this kasha as merely passable. The owner's family has kept this review under wraps for the better part of a century. A former waiter was killed in a tragic seltzer explosion and now haunts the dining room seeking revenge. The previous host was bribing the health inspector in exchange for good ratings. The health inspector's coming tomorrow, and the current host has had to make some hard choices. Soylent Green is people, and so is the coleslaw. This whole thing is actually the play within the play of a community theater production of Hamlet. Hey, you managed to tap into Mel Brooks with this one. You've succeeded in making something good. Gotta get it from the Gehenna portal. Oh no, that Meshuggah golem's woken up again. It keeps on making sandwiches, and we're out of bread, so it's just assembling it out of lettuce. This is a winner. This is a winner.
Yeah, rest of the book is not even a game, but this is good.
Christmas Day. It's Christmas Day in New York City. Okay. There's grates over the storefronts, the F train, blah blah blah. It's a freeform LARP. They don't capitalize LARP. About family and identity, Cohen family on Christmas Day. They have Chinese food, variety of blah blah blah. So it's just, the Cohen family's day out.
But will a gorilla appear?
I wish. So here are some topics of things that they do. They even point out Hanukkah's not a big deal. It gets considered a big deal. The high holy days refer to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. They occur in the fall and are most important holidays in the year. It's actually why the Arabs attacked them during the Yom Kippur War. Rosh Hashanah is the New Year. That's actually a lot more important. Interfaith marriage is a lot more common, but it's a source of contention. So this is Jewish soap opera drama simulator, from what it sounds like.
Yeah.
I'm gonna skip this.
Well, the one thing I just want to point out is in the Jewish culture, a note on the American Jewish winter holiday experience. Christmas is insidious. It inserts itself into almost every aspect of life for most of December. So I'm wondering, is there like some Jewish conspiracy theorist who's convinced that there's like a conspiracy to promote Christmas?
Oh no, we've done Scum plays. We did Stigmata twice. Although the horrible Jewish deli game sounds like a really fun one, I would like doing that at one point. Not in this stream. It's getting late, but But I think that's actually Goldberg's opinion there. Christmas is insidious. I think he was like watching over them and inserting his opinions.
Yeah.
Because notice that this was supposed to be like a Yemeni family experiencing how American Jews handle the holidays, at least, the Christian holidays. Like, I think the original idea that was these were supposed to be like Yemeni immigrants dealing with the culture shock. which, while still being boring as fuck, would be more interesting. Who wants to hear about grandma saying, "You know, she's not good enough for you, Gerald. Come on, why didn't you marry that nice girl that I set you up with?" Like, come on. Oh, is that fucking it? Oh god, it
Yeah,
is.
it is.
Well, Doikayt's an anthology of games, put in quotes, by Jewish game designers, which that's also should be put in quotes, about the ways we see our Judaism, which is also put in quotes. So, yeah, that was a thing. So, what were your guys' thoughts on this wild ride? Both chat and you guys. Let's start with you guys since you're in.
Well, 1/12 of it was good.
Oh wow, that's like, isn't that like 6% or something?
Yeah.
Oh god,
Yeah.
a chicken can score higher in a multiple choice test than that. I think Movie Bob's reviews have been more accurate than that. I think he's hanging at the 10% chart. Yeah, I'm just gonna say up front, all but one of those games are not even a game. Well, no. All but two of those games are not even a game. I forget what that rating was. Is it just not even a game? True
Yeah,
Namer.
it's
They're all True Namer.
True Namer.
10 of the 12. One of them was just merely, I wouldn't even give it playable. It's just, I would say not garbage fire. You know, the
Trash.
trash, the Dybbuk one. Dybbuk Cup at least is a game, but it's a very boring game. And the deli is easily a winner. That's good. That's good, almost amazing. But you know, this is another thing that it fails at. So this was supposed to be Judaism of all cultures, right? Or am I crazy?
Yep. No, I think it was. And they failed.
It was all Ashkenazi Judaism shit, specifically the American traditions. Don't get me wrong, America has the highest population of Jews out of all the countries barring Israel, but oh, you'll even learn something along the way is that yeah, they don't explain anything. They don't explain anything, pagan. So hey, chat, all 2.5 of you, what would you rate it? We usually use amazing, good, decent, playable, trash, garbage fire, Wiseau, deep hurting, or true namer. But you can use any invention, like, hey Greg, are you alive? Oh no, Doikayt killed Greg. He's become the Dybbuk got him.
Oh no.
The Dybbuk got Greg. So yeah, chat, what do you think? Don't worry, Greg will be fine. We'll resurrect him as we usually do. You don't have words? I don't blame you. So that was pretty fucking terrible.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
It was actually worse than I thought it would be. Garbage fire outside of a certain deli. Yeah, that sounds fair. And just let's let in. Where are you? Where are you? So that's our Hanukkah special. That's gonna kind of replace our Festivus special, since you know we're gonna probably try to do as many holidays as we can. Why so? It's bad, but not in a malicious way. No, why so's entertaining bad. That's the problem. I mean, it might have been entertaining bad. Oh, yeah, Greg is still there, but he's dead. So
I wouldn't rate it as that.
it's not, I wouldn't rate it a YSL myself. It's just
It's too
trash.
boring to be. It's too boring. Yeah.
It's too boring. There's a couple that are completely incomprehensible, like the attempt to do the wrestling match between Jacob and God. There was an attempt that almost was a game, but that's the problem. It was almost a game. Probably should have had an actual RPG player as one of the writers. I think that was the Jewish Deli one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the only one that actually qualifies as an RPG, I think.
I mean, the Dybbuk one, yeah, the Dybbuk one's just a party game, and Jacob versus God is just an attempt at doing a tabletop game by someone who I don't think knows how they work. So yeah, well, I guess we're done with this particular holiday special. What are we gonna do next week? I'm curious. Are we finally gonna do like Cinnabar or something?
I say as a Christmas treat, we finish off Thirsty Sword Lesbos.
I'll need to get more vodka. So yeah, next week we're gonna do Thirsty Sword Lesbians, and I think we're gonna try completing it this year. I don't think it's possible, but hey, it's something. Anyway, let's say good night, y'all. This
Good night.